Hi everyone, of all from bosses at level 1 and no summons. Well, certainly the probably second only in difficulty to one of the low points right here. So I've tried my best, but this is going to be one that we are going to have to chalk up to the cheese counter. Let's see if we can make it work anyway. But of course, it's a cheese, but it's not glitch at this stage. We're just using mechanics that are found in the game. So we've got unseen form that we picked up probably somewhere in Liurnia, Assassin's Gambit, Ash of War. We're wearing a particular twin sage glintstone crown that allows us to have the intelligence to wield it. We're wearing Radahn's armor, and we're wearing Melania's greaves. So Mikla thought that he had all of this under control. He did not. That's the poison, that's the rot. That should be working nicely now. So this boss, I mean, I've tried parrying it, I've tried many things off camera. I mean, in a way, ultimately, it's above my skill level, but the terrain is so messed up. The terrain makes this boss fight so unfun. I mean, look at it. Did the guys, the team that designed the bosses, liaise with the team that designs the arenas on this? Mimic Veil. A tree. How perfect to take down the promised consort with a tree. Hopefully, if this works. Now, I can't remember if we made it to the second phase at the end of the last episode, so we'll have a quick look at this video. Might be our last opportunity. And I've got the Vow of the Indomitable on it, slapped it on a shield as well, just because it can be quite useful. I seem to recall maybe we did get to the second phase at the end of the last episode, but let's watch it again. You're not Radahn. I killed Radahn a year ago. Mikla, you are a mad Frankenstein. He's not returned, he's dead. I killed him and opened the stars. Right. I'm sorry, Mikla. You overestimated your creation's sentience. Bye. Whoops. Okay. And there we go. That's all he deserves. That's all he deserves. There's no happiness here. I'm not happy. The boss just is junk. We fooled him. And Mikla thought that his promised consort was going to be able to handle moving, attacking, killing, but really it was a sad Frankenstein's monster that was easily fooled by turning invisible and then turning myself into a bloody tree. It's a sad end. It's a lore-appropriate end, I think. Mikla made the Hallig tree. He made, the Land of Shadow. He did all of this, but he cannot bring what is dead back to life. Let us go together indeed. We will definitely touch that memory in a sec. So unfortunately, because of the no summons, we haven't got Anne's back in Tiolier's stuff. But yeah, it's cool so that's a useful cheese if you ever want to know how to just get past that bit. A little bit to do. Let's see whether Mikla realises the error of his ways. He can't properly respond. He didn't give consent. He was dead. And you use your own other dead brother, Moog. You're trash, Mikla. Incorrect. Very disappointing cutscene to end the DLC as well, it must be said. A little circlet of light. I think we have one more place that we must travel to. To conclude, let's take the long way, the scenic way. To conclude this. So yeah, that's Radahn. I mean, I wish in a way it had been a more dramatic fight, obviously. And there are people that do it rune level 1, Skadutry level 0, blindfolded on a dance mat with their arms tied behind their back. We've always been down for doing cheese in this channel when the time is right. And the time is right. The boss, for me, is not good. And I kind of like the headcanon lore that I've written into that. St. Trina's Blossom. Let us put it on. Beautiful. I wonder if... Let us finish this. Let's go somewhere scenic. I wonder if the sunset is coming down outside the Church of the Bud. No, but the stars are out. I wonder if that means the stars are going to be out in Liurnia as well. I like it here. It's nice. It's pretty. It's not quite what we want. There's somewhere to talk. Where it all began, and my favourite viewpoint in the game. Let's finish it there. Seems so long ago now. I think it's been about 6 months working on the DLC. And there's some massive highlights in the DLC. Midra. I'm not so much of a fan of Mesprit Rune level 1, but Shadowkeep, Midra, R'hllana. So here we are, my friends. Elden Ring, all 207 bosses done at rune level 1. I'm going to miss this game. I've got nearly 1,500 hours into it, all up. Nearly 500 on this DLC run. On this rune level 1 run, including the main game. It's, for me, in many ways, the best FromSoft game ever. But I think that maybe Bloodborne and perhaps DS1 still nudge ahead of it in terms of personal favourites. But, you know, the highs were there. But yeah, phenomenal game. So what's coming up? Well, this particular playlist, the All From bosses at level 1 and no summons, we're going to take a short hiatus on that while we figure out next steps. We'll probably be recording maybe just some random shorter one-off episodes, so in terms of the Sekiro inner bosses. But I'm not going to be spending all night to practice those. I'm just going to be doing those casually, an hour here, an hour there, and when we're ready to record, and I think I've got a good chance of beating them, we'll record those episodes. It's not going to be a regular schedule. But we're going to be moving into a new playlist on CC Vs channel, which is awesome. We'll be doing starting our Resident Evil lore run through very, very soon, in the next week, hopefully. Starting with Resident Evil 0, we're going to be doing the games chronologically, the remakes and the originals where available on the PS Store, and hopefully we can try and piece together some of that crazy lore in that series. It's a series that I've got a lot of affection for, but I haven't played that many mainline games in the series. I think 2, 4, and 7, and bits of 1 and 3, but certainly not kind of in depth. So we'll be starting with Resident Evil 0. Because I'm a masochist, even though that one is supposed to be maybe the hardest. It is chronologically first in the Resident Evil saga. It's a prequel, so we'll be starting that one really soon. We've got the Sekiro inner bosses on this particular playlist, and then Armored Core will be coming up at the All From bosses at level 1 and no summons. I've got to figure out how that's going to look. At the moment, I'm leaning, for those who have played the game, leaning towards no OS upgrades as our equivalent at level 1. And then obviously changing the weapons on your back, shoulders and all that. That's the same as leveling weapons and getting them more powerful. But maybe just no OS upgrades and doing it similar to Sekiro, where some people might claim that, you know, that's not a true level 1. You have to do it with a starter build as a true level 1. That's probably going to be beyond my skill level as well. But hey, it still sticks within level 1 and no summons for the games that are open to interpretation. But what a blast Elden Ring has been. Like, let's just go back to that. I think I started Elden Ring on this channel, the first episode, back in Limgrave. I think maybe well over a year ago, 15, 16 months ago. Obviously, we had a break. In fact, even longer than that, I think. Well longer than that. 2 years, maybe. 2 years ago that we started this room level 1 at Elden Ring, with a large break in between, of course, for the DLC. But I'm going to miss this game. I'm going to be deleting this off my hard drive as soon as this episode wraps up. And in a way, I'm talking so much now because I'm almost reluctant to let it go. It's been such a big part of my life over the last 2 years. Each episode that you've seen hasn't just been turning on the PlayStation and recording idly. It's been, you know, hours of practice in some cases, or just planning out the episode, doing it in a linear run when we were, you know, doing Liurnia, Limgrave, some of those really big regions like Caelid and Lane Dell and things like that. That involved, you know, hours of planning as well to make sure that it flowed together really nicely. And even though we didn't do this DLC in a linear way, I'm proud of myself in a lot of ways for getting through it. You know, it might nag me in future about beating Radahn with the cheese, but ultimately my view on the boss is it's one of the bottom 20 bosses that From have ever done when you take everything into consideration, in terms of like the lore, and how that's a letdown. Mechanically, it's way too overtuned, pushing the difficulty beyond what I consider to be fun, and really losing sight of that. But that doesn't mean that FromSoft are suddenly a bad studio. Like, Night Rain, I'm sure, will be great. It's certainly a lot of fun, and you know, we've got, and even since the DLC, you know, or since Elden Ring, we've had this DLC, and we've had overall and Armored Core 6, which was a great game. So they're releasing still amazing stuff. Just making a mistake with one boss. If you wrote off From Software every time they made a mistake with one boss, good lord, you know, they'd be dead and gone. Ultimately, Radahn was a misstep as a final DLC boss, but that's totally fine. It happens, and I can't wait to see what Miyazaki's cooking up long term, and that will be on this channel as well. I'm sure we'll find out in the next kind of 6 to 12 months exactly what they've got cooking up and when that's going to be. But yes, so coming up on the channel, we've got a list, we've got an area ranking of all the whole series, which I'm still working on the script for, in that will coming out in the next 3 to 5 months. We've got Resident Evil Saga lore playthrough starting soon, Sekiro Inner Bosses and Armored Core on this playlist. So yes, plenty of content to go, but that is Elden Ring done and in the bag. Thank you so much for joining me, and while I play this once in a generation masterpiece, it really is. And I love you all. Thank you so much, and a big shout out actually to Nizzle, who's been my constant guide as a viewer throughout this series. Thank you so much for your time. Catch you on the next stream. Good night.